At 9:03 on Saturday morning, you walk through the glass doors of a hotel conference hall where you know no one. Your name badge is still in your hand. Small groups have already formed around the coffee tables, and someone crosses the room with the easy certainty of a person who has been here before. You check your phone even though nothing has arrived. Then you notice your hands. You put on the badge, take it off because it looks crooked, put it on again, adjust your sleeve, move your bag to the other shoulder, and choose a chair near the edge because it feels safer. A second later, you wonder whether choosing the edge made you look uncertain. No one has said anything to you. Still, you are already negotiating with the room. Do I look confident? Should I smile more? Should I sit straighter? Should I pretend I am not nervous? Most advice about presence makes this worse. It gives you another performance to manage. Walk slower, hold eye contact longer, take up more space, never fidget, never look away. Now, you are not only nervous, you are nervous while trying to remember how a confident person is supposed to move. That is the first thing to discard. Presence is not a pose you perform under observation. It is the visible residue of how well you govern yourself before the room begins judging you. A person who prepared does not need to invent certainty at the door. A person who can tolerate uncertainty does not need every face to reassure them. A person who respects their own commitments does not rearrange the entire day because one request arrives with urgency. Their body may still show nerves, but their conduct has somewhere to return. So stop asking, "How do I look?" Ask a better question. What is my conduct giving this room evidence of? Preparation or panic? Attention or distraction? Reliability or improvisation? A desire to contribute or a need to be confirmed? That question changes the subject from appearance to self-command. And once you notice that, the smallest gestures begin to make more sense. The phone is not the problem. The chair is not the problem. The rushed answer is not the problem by itself. The deeper question is what habit chose the gesture for you? Which habit steals your center most often? Rushing when people are watching, checking your phone to escape an awkward moment, or changing yourself the moment you sense disapproval? Keep your answer in mind. We will return to it, because the visible habit is usually only the surface. Machiavelli was writing about political reputation, not modern confidence or body language. In chapter 21 of The Prince, he argues that esteem grows through visible enterprise and example. His subject was rulership, and the modern analogy should remain limited. You do not need subjects, a court, or the mannerisms of a Renaissance prince. What survives the historical distance is simpler. Reputation is shaped by what people repeatedly see you do. Applied carefully to ordinary life, that means presence cannot be separated from conduct. A straight back cannot repair a record of broken promises. A calm face cannot make careless work dependable. A slow walk cannot create judgment. A hard stare cannot turn insecurity into authority. The room may notice the pose for a minute, then reality starts asking questions. The first of those questions is pace, not slowness, pace. When you are anxious, your body often begins obeying the fastest signal available. A door opens and you hurry through it. Someone asks a question and you answer before they finish. A notification appears and your eyes leave the person in front of you. Speed becomes a way to escape the feeling of being observed. Sometimes moving quickly is exactly right. A deadline is real. Someone needs help. A train is leaving. The problem is not speed. The problem is letting anxiety choose speed when the task did not ask for it. Watch what happens in small moments. People start packing before a conversation has actually ended. They fill a 3-second silence because the pause makes them feel exposed. They reach for a phone in a waiting area, open the same app twice, and call it boredom when what they are really escaping is the sensation of having nothing to hide behind. A governed pace is different. It does not mean moving in slow motion so everyone notices how composed you are. That becomes another costume. It means the task decides the speed, not your panic. Try it somewhere ordinary. The next time you enter a room where you feel slightly out of place, do not manufacture confidence. Find the actual task. Where are you supposed to go? Who needs your attention? What needs to be ready? Move at the speed required by that task. You may still feel nervous. Good. You are learning something more useful than appearing calm. Nervousness does not need to control the choreography. But pace only protects you from one kind of leakage. A person can move slowly and still be completely governed by the room. The next test is attention. Attention reveals what your identity is leaning on. In a waiting area, before an important conversation, one person checks the door every few seconds. Another keeps reopening the same app. Someone watches the faces around them, searching for clues about how worried they should be. The room becomes a mirror, and they keep asking it who they are. You may know the same feeling in a meeting. The first person is speaking, but you are not really listening because you are rehearsing how your own turn will sound. You make a point, then stop hearing the next answer because you are studying faces for proof that your point landed. At a family gathering, one person becomes quiet, and your attention leaves the entire table to investigate whether their silence is about you. That constant monitoring can feel socially intelligent. Often it is simply expensive. You cannot be fully present in the situation while also standing outside yourself as a critic, checking your performance every 10 seconds. A person with a center can move attention outward. They notice what the task needs. They remember the name they were told. They hear the part of a question that was not phrased perfectly. They can let someone else receive attention without experiencing that as a reduction of their own worth. This is where status hunger quietly enters the room. It does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it looks like interruption because the conversation moved away from you. Sometimes it looks like telling the larger story because someone else received praise. Sometimes it looks like disappearing completely so nobody gets enough access to judge you. Dominating the room and vanishing from it can grow from the same fear. Both make the room responsible for your identity. A steadier person occupies the role they actually have. No larger, no smaller. If you are there to contribute, contribute. If you are there to learn, learn without pretending you already know. If someone else is leading, let them lead without creating a private competition. This is where the word king can mislead you. A childish idea of status says the important person must be the center of every room. A mature idea of authority can tolerate not being the center because it is not built from attention alone. And that leads to a harder question. What happens when you cannot rely on style at all? When the room stops rewarding polish, only preparation remains. Preparation is one of the least glamorous sources of presence because you notice it mainly when it is missing. A meeting begins and one person is still searching through downloads. Someone cannot remember the name they were told twice. A charger is missing. The document is the wrong version. A task that should have taken 5 minutes becomes 20 because everything is being assembled after attention has already arrived. Then the same person tries to compensate with confidence. They speak faster, make bigger promises, laugh at the mistake, and tell everyone they work well under pressure. But pressure did not create the disorder. The disorder created the pressure. Prepared people are often less dramatic. They know what the conversation is for. They have the file. They check the time. They understand which decision is needed. If they do not know something, they can say so without collapsing because their identity is not being held together by appearing omniscient. Your body changes when your life requires less pretending. You do not need to fake certainty about the page you already read. You do not need to perform control over the deadline you already planned around. You do not need to invent confidence in a promise you have been keeping for 6 weeks. This is the modern use of Machiavelli's point about visible example. The ethical lesson is not to manufacture an image. It is to make your private preparation capable of producing public evidence. Know the work, keep the agreement, arrive with what you said you would bring. If you made the error, know the error before defending your image. That is what gives posture credibility. Now imagine the meeting finally begins. For 20 minutes, everything goes normally. Then the screen stops working. Your slides disappear. Someone glances at the clock and says, "We can move on if this is going to take a while." The room turns toward you. This moment tells you more about presence than the way you entered. Small disorder interrupts the performance. You plan to look composed under controlled conditions. Now the conditions are not controlled. The old impulse may be to apologize 5 times, blame the cable, rush through every button, make a joke about your bad luck, or explain that it worked perfectly 10 minutes ago. None of that repairs the screen. A more governed response begins by shrinking the problem back to its real size. The display is not working, that is all. You check the connection. If it cannot be fixed quickly, you make the next available move. Continue from the printed summary, send the slides afterward, and keep the meeting moving. No theater, no self-punishment, no pretending the problem did not matter. This is a form of bearing people trust. Proportion. You let a small problem remain small. You let a correction be a correction, rather than a verdict on your competence. You let embarrassment pass through the room without appointing it as the leader. Presence does not mean you never react emotionally. Your face may become warm, your hand may shake, you may need one breath before the next action. The point is not to erase visible humanity. The point is to return to the task. That distinction matters because this subject can easily slide into body language superstition. One gesture proves very little. Crossed arms can mean discomfort, cold air, habit, or nothing important. Looking away can mean thought, shyness, fatigue, or distraction. A person can appear confident while being dishonest, and another can appear nervous while being highly capable. So do not turn posture into a secret lie detector. Do not diagnose people from how they sit. And do not make yourself miserable by treating every movement as a signal that must be optimized. The deeper pattern matters more. What happens across time when friction appears? Do you become less accurate because you are embarrassed? Do you become rude because someone challenged you? Do you abandon your standards when approval disappears? Do you recover? Which is harder for you, staying proportionate when something goes wrong, or staying grounded when someone looks disappointed with you? That distinction matters, because the next test is not about embarrassment. It is about approval. The meeting ends. You are almost at the door when someone says, "Can you stay and take care of one more thing?" It should be quick. You already have something scheduled. The request is not unreasonable. The pressure is still real. Many people lose their bearing here because they mistake immediate compliance for generosity. They say yes before checking the cost, then spend the next hour resentful. Others overcorrect and become sharp because they have decided that powerful people never accommodate anyone. Both reactions are governed by image. One person wants to look helpful, the other wants to look untouchable. A more self-possessed response checks reality first. What did you already commit to? How important is this request? Can it be done later? Does the other person need help, or do they need ownership transferred? You may decide to stay. You may decide not to. The presence comes from the fact that the answer passes through judgment before leaving your mouth. I can review it at 2, but I can't stay now. I have 20 minutes. I can help with the first part. The rest needs another owner. These are not royal declarations. They are accurate descriptions of capacity. Then the person asking looks disappointed, and your body wants to repair that expression. This is where the internal enemy becomes obvious. Status hunger is not always the need to look superior. Sometimes, it is the need to remain approved. You want to be the competent one, the generous one, the calm one, the person nobody can criticize. so another person's expression becomes a remote control. A raised eyebrow makes you explain. A disappointed face changes your boundary. A compliment makes you promise more. A cold reply makes you reopen a decision that was already sound. You can practice every confident gesture on earth and still be governed by the room. This is why real bearing is hard to fake for long. Pressure eventually asks what you actually serve: your standards, the task, the truth, your commitments, or the next expression on someone else's face. There is an important correction here. You should care what people think sometimes. Reputation matters. Feedback matters. Consequences matter. People close to you can notice things you cannot see in yourself. A leader who ignores every reaction is not self-possessed. They may simply be inaccessible. The goal is not to become immune to influence. It is to improve the quality of influence you accept. A vague look should not outrank a clear fact. A stranger's opinion should not outrank qualified feedback. One uncomfortable moment should not automatically overturn a decision made with good information. But when trustworthy people repeatedly tell you that your behavior is careless, dismissive, confusing, or unfair, "I do not care what anyone thinks," is not strength. It is a way to avoid correction. The person with the strongest presence in the room may be the one capable of saying, "I handled that badly. I'll fix it." Accountability does not reduce stature. Defensiveness often does. The same is true of warmth. Some people here carry yourself like a king and begin removing ordinary kindness from their behavior. They stop greeting people first. They stop saying thank you. They make others wait unnecessarily. They avoid smiling because they think friendliness weakens authority. Turn every interaction into a ceremony of rank, and you reveal something you were trying to hide. Your importance needs constant maintenance. Stable self-respect behaves differently. It can acknowledge the receptionist, the junior colleague, the quiet person at the end of the table, and the person whose idea was better. It can share credit, because credit is not oxygen. It can ask a question without pretending to know the answer. It can apologize without performing humiliation. This may be the most useful reversal in the whole subject. Presence is not the amount of space you take. It is the amount of unnecessary pressure you stop creating around your existence. You do not need the room to prove you are important, so you can finally notice the room. And now the final layer appears: reliability. Suppose you master the entrance. You arrive calmly. Your phone is away. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your attention is steady. Then you miss the deadline you promised. Again, the performance ends there. People do not experience your body language in isolation. They place it inside memory. Did you do what you said? Did you arrive when it mattered? Did you tell the truth when the answer was inconvenient? Did your standards survive a week without praise? Reputation is compressed memory. That is why conduct eventually becomes visible, even when nobody sees every private decision. The person who repeatedly prepares does not need to panic as often. The person who keeps small promises does not need to manufacture credibility in every new room. The person who practices clear boundaries does not discover their capacity only after agreeing to too much. Without this foundation, body language becomes cosmetics. With it, simple behavior begins carrying weight. You sit normally because the chair is not an examination. You pause because you are thinking, not because you are performing a pause. You listen because you do not need to prepare your importance while someone else speaks. There is one last place people surrender their bearing, and it usually happens after the important moment is over. After a meeting, presentation, class, interview, or difficult conversation, many people immediately begin collecting reactions. Was that okay? Did I sound nervous? What did they think? Do you think I said too much? Useful feedback has a purpose. Reassurance is different. Feedback gives you information you can use. Reassurance tries to remove uncertainty before uncertainty has finished teaching you anything. If you need someone to certify you, after every high-stakes moment, the room continues governing you after you have left it. Try a different exit. Record what you know. What decision was made? What worked? What did you miss? What follow-up is required? What do you genuinely need feedback on? Then stop. Let other people have private opinions. You cannot manage all of them, and your reputation will be influenced more by the next pattern of conduct than by an hour spent interpreting faces in the hallway. By now, carrying yourself differently may sound less like confidence and more like a system. That is exactly what it is. Presence becomes easier when you stop asking your body to solve problems that preparation, judgment, boundaries, and follow-through were supposed to solve first. Before the next important room, define your purpose in one sentence. Not impress them, not look powerful. What actually needs to happen? Present the idea clearly. Understand the problem. Ask for the decision. Learn what is expected. Set the boundary. Support the person. A clear purpose gives your attention somewhere to return when self-consciousness tries to recruit it. Then prepare one layer deeper than the room can see. Bring the file. Know the name. Check the time. Understand the first question you need answered. Know what you can promise and what you cannot. Preparation should reduce unnecessary improvisation without turning you rigid. Before you enter, identify one boundary. Maybe you will not agree to a deadline before checking the workload. Maybe you will not answer a loaded accusation before asking for specifics. Maybe you will not abandon your point merely because you are interrupted. Maybe you will not let one awkward moment send you into a 10-minute apology. A boundary chosen in calm is easier to protect under attention. When you enter, orient before you perform. Put the phone away unless it is part of the task. Notice where you need to be. Acknowledge the people who are actually there. Choose a seat because it serves the situation, not because it hides you or advertises you. Let your body arrive before you ask it to symbolize anything. When attention turns toward you, take one ordinary breath, not a dramatic pause. One breath long enough to stop urgency from choosing the first movement. Then return to purpose. During the interaction, keep bringing attention back to the person or problem in front of you. When you notice yourself scanning faces for approval, do not shame the impulse. Name it quietly, checking the room, then return. When something goes wrong, reduce it to facts before emotion enlarges it. The file is missing. The question is unclear. You forgot a detail. Someone interrupted. The answer is no. The plan changed. Ask what the next useful action is. Correct what you can. Take accountability if it belongs to you, and continue. When a request arrives, check capacity before identity answers. Do not say yes just to preserve the image of being helpful. Do not say no just to preserve the image of being powerful. Let reality decide. And before the next high-stakes room, keep one visible promise outside it. Finish the piece of work. Send the message you said you would send. Prepare the material. Arrive when you agreed. Repair the mistake. Your bearing becomes easier when your private evidence stops arguing with your public performance. Afterward, review once. What matched your standard? Where did your attention leave the task? What correction belongs to you? What requires follow-up? Then leave the room in your mind, as well as with your feet. The protocol is simple enough to remember because it follows the order in which presence is actually built. Purpose before performance, preparation before posture, attention before image, judgment before reaction, capacity before compliance, conduct before reputation. You do not need to recite those words while walking through a doorway. Build them into the day, and the doorway becomes easier. Now return to 9:03 on Saturday morning. The glass doors are still in front of you. The name badge is still in your hand. The groups inside still look more comfortable than you feel, and your chest still tightens slightly when you realize you will have to enter alone. Your hand almost reaches for the phone. The old question appears. How do I look? This time, you do not fight the question. You replace it with a task. Why am I here? You know. So you walk in at a normal pace. Not slow, not rushed. You put on the badge once. The phone stays away. You greet the person at the registration desk and choose a seat that lets you participate, instead of one that hides you from being noticed. When someone sits beside you, you make reasonable space without shrinking, as if your presence needs an apology. The session begins. You listen before preparing your performance. When your turn comes, you speak. If your voice is slightly nervous, it is slightly nervous. The sentence still arrives. Halfway through, something small goes wrong. A page is missing. Someone interrupts. The screen hesitates. Your body notices. Then judgment returns. You solve what can be solved and continue. At the end, someone asks whether you can take on something extra. You check the commitment already on your calendar before answering. Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe it is no. Either way, it belongs to the life you are actually governing. When the meeting ends, you do not stand in the hallway reading faces like election results. You write down the follow-up, note one thing to improve, and leave. The room did not bow to you. It did not need to. No crown appeared, and nobody declared you important. Something more useful happened. You stopped asking strangers, silence, friction, and approval to govern your movements for you. Your worth did not change. Your humanity did not change. Your right to feel uncertain did not disappear. The chain of command changed. So ask yourself one final question. The next time you enter an important room, what will you change first? Your pace, your attention, your preparation, or your need for reassurance? Choose one and name the visible action that will prove the change. If this helped you see presence as conduct rather than performance, subscribe to the Machiavelli framework for modern lessons on self-command, human nature, reputation, boundaries, and strategic judgment. Carry yourself like a king by governing the only territory that is truly yours: your attention, your conduct, and your next move.